The overlooked Patriarch's Thanksgiving surprise, the one that breaks you. The dining room was loud, with forced laughter and clinking crystal, when Hal came back from the kitchen, carrying nothing but the thick manila envelope and 47 years of swallowed grief. He didn't ask permission. He simply walked to the head of the table, the seat Ryan had taken years ago, and laid the envelope down like a body. Silence fell so fast, the caterers froze in the doorway. Hal's voice came out raw, scraped clean of every polite lie he'd ever told himself. "Look at me." 16 faces turned. Ryan started to speak. Hal lifted one trembling, work-scarred hand, and the room obeyed. "Look at me, son." Ryan's mouth closed. Hal's eyes, blue, watery, absolutely unafraid now, moved from face to face until they locked on his only child. "I was in the kitchen a minute ago. I heard every word. Memory Gardens, Medicaid, sell the shack, ski trip to Aspen." His voice cracked wide open on the last word, but he didn't stop. "I stood there holding the plates I bought for your wedding, listening to my own boy plan my funeral while I'm still breathing." A single tear slid down his weathered cheek and hung on his jaw like it was afraid to fall. Ashley tried. "Harold, it wasn't—" "Don't." The single syllable cracked like a gunshot. Hal opened the envelope with shaking hands and let the contents spill across the white tablecloth. Brokerage statements, dividend records, a photograph of a modest brick house on Elm Street with a little boy on a red bicycle in the driveway. "This is what paid for every brick of this house you're so proud of. This is what paid for the Tesla, the Ivy League funds, the kitchen island you pose in front of for Instagram while I eat at a card table with a plastic fork." He picked up the photograph of the little boy on the bicycle, Ryan at 6, and held it up so everyone could see. "This boy used to run to the door, screaming, 'Daddy's home,' the second my old Chevy turned the corner. Tonight, he couldn't even look up from his phone long enough to say hello." His chest hitched. The next words came out shredded. "I buried your mother in that shack. I sat on the porch swing of that shack the night you were born, crying because I was terrified I wouldn't be enough for you. I signed every dividend check in silence so you'd never feel poor the way I did growing up. And tonight, I found out the only thing I ever was to you was an ATM with an expiration date." Ryan stood, chair scraping. "Dad." Hal's roar cut him off. Not loud, but so broken it felt like a scream. "I am still your father." The chandelier itself seemed to tremble. He turned to Mason and Harper, who were clutching each other, eyes huge. "Come here, babies." They ran to him. He dropped to his knees right there on the hardwood he'd paid for, wrapping them so tight Harper whimpered. "Listen to Grandpa," he whispered against their hair, voice shaking uncontrollably. "You were the only reason I stayed quiet this long. But I want you to remember this moment. Remember what it feels like when someone you love gets treated like trash." He kissed each small forehead, tears dripping onto their hair. "I love you bigger than every star in the Colorado sky, and my door will never be locked to you, ever." Then he stood, swaying, and faced Ryan and Ashley one last time. "I sold the shares this morning. $47 million. Gone. Half to scholarships for kids whose daddies work 2 jobs. Half to veterans who come home with nothing but nightmares. You got the house, mortgage-free. Merry Christmas. But the man who paid for your life, he's done." Ashley was openly sobbing now. Ryan looked like he'd been punched in the soul. Hal picked up his old wool coat, the one Betty had chosen for him 30 Thanksgivings ago. At the doorway, he paused, hand on the frame, and spoke without turning around. "I used to think the worst pain in the world was putting your mother in the ground. I was wrong. The worst pain is realizing the child you gave the world to would sell you for a ski trip." He stepped into the cold night. Behind him, Harper's small voice wailed, "Grandpa!" He didn't look back. Couldn't. Because if he did, he would have shattered, right there on the welcome mat. The pickup started on the 3rd try. He drove west through the dark, with the windows down, letting the freezing wind burn the tears off his face. 470 miles later, he pulled up to the little log cabin under a sky so clear the Milky Way looked close enough to touch. He sat on the tailgate, boots in the snow, and finally let the sobs come. Huge, ragged things that had been waiting decades. Then his phone buzzed. A single text from Mason. "I'm sorry, Grandpa. I love you. Can I still come fishing when the snow melts?" Hal stared at it for a long time, thumbs hovering. He typed back with cold, shaking fingers. "Bring your sister. I'll leave the porch light on till the day I die." He hit send, looked up at the stars, and whispered into the thin mountain air. "Happy Thanksgiving, Betty. Our boy forgot who he was, but I just remembered who I am." Then he walked inside, closed the door softly, and started the coffee for tomorrow's pie, because some hearts keep baking, even after they've been broken clean in two.